Oh, what is Linux? Linux is an operating system which is based on the Linux kernel. It is an open source operating system where it can run on different hardware platform. It provides a free and low cost operating system for user. It is a user friendly environment where they can easily modify and create the variation in the source code. Who invented the Linux? Explain the history of the Linux. Linus Torvald created the Linux. Linus Torvald was a student at the University of Helsinki of Finland in 1991. He started writing the code on his own to get the academic version of the Unix for free, and it became a popular as Linux kernel. What is the difference between the Linux and Unix? Here is a difference between the Linux and Unix. Both unpaid free distributions are available. Different paid structures for different data level of Unix. Linux primarily uses GUI with the optimal command line interface. Linux OS is a portable and can be executed on different hard drives. um, okay, Unix is a not the portable. Linux is developed by the worldwide Linux community. Unix is developed by the AT&T developer. Linux is a free and it is downloaded through the internet. Most Linux like operating system is not free. Linux is used at the home-based PCs, phone, etc. And Unix is used in the server system. Okay, server system. Linux is used at a home-based PC, phone, etc. Unix is used in server system and some other difference. Linux is a Unix clone, but if you are considered the portable operating system interface standard, then Linux can be considered the Unix, and Linux is just kernel. All Linux distribution include the GUI system, GNU utilities, installation management tools, GNU, C++ compiler, editor, and various applications like OpenOffice, Firefox. Unix is an operating system are considered to be complete OS, yeah, as everything comes from the single vendor. Security and firewall. Unix come with the open source net filter and IP table based on the firewall tool to protect your server and desktop from the cracker and hacker. Unix operating systems come with their own firewall product backup and recovery. Unix and Linux come with their own set of tools for backing up data and tap other backup media. However, both Unix and Linux share the common tools such as star and etc. What is the core of the Linux operating system? What is a Linux kernel? Linux kernel is the heart of the operating system. It acts as a bridge between the um, software and hardware. If software requires the hardware, then the kernel deliver the data between the software and hardware. For example, if I want to display the song, you should launch your default player. It requires the kernel to play the song. Now the kernel will connect to the hardware to seek the permission or seek the hardware component. Like if you plug in any headset to the device, most Android phones use a Linux kernel. Yes, yes, the kernel can edit because it is released under the general public license. What is a bash? Bash is a Unix shell and command processor written with the variant for the GNU project. It is a free software and act as a replacement for the Bourne shell. It is an interpreted and not compiled process which can also be run in the terminal window. These allow the user to write command and use cause action. It is capable of reading the command from the shell scripting. What is a Lilo? A Lilo means a Linux loader. It is a bootloader that is used for the Linux operating system. Most of the Linux operating system use the Lilo to the boot of the operating system into the main memory to start the application. What is a CLI? CLI means a command line language interpreter. It interacts with the computer program where the user issue command is from the text line. It interacts with the computer terminal also. The interface accept the text line and convert them as a command to the operating system. What is the advantage of the open source? Linux was one of the first open source technology. Many programmers added the software that completely open to the user, which means you can download the file and change the code as you like. It has a wide range of options for the user and increased security. What is the disadvantage of the open source? Disadvantage of open source operating system mentioned below: difficulty to use, compatibility issues, liability and warranties, hidden cost. What is the shell? Shell is a computer program that acts as the interface between the user and kernel. User can communicate with the kernel by writing the program's command and script on the shell. It accepts the human-related command and convert into them a kernel understandable language. How many types of shells are there? Linux, and there are the 5 shells in Linux: C shell, Corn shell, G shell, Born again shell, Friendly interactive shell. C shell, it is like a C syntax and provides a spelling check and job control. This is a Corn shell. This is a high level programming language shell. G shell is the provider some unique nature, like it is observed the login, logout, watching file name, generating the starter file and closing comments. Bourne shell, it is a difficult to Linux distribution. Friendly interactive shell, it is a provide the web-based configuration, auto suggestion, etc. What are the basic component of Linux? Basic component of Linux: kernel, shell, GUI, system utilities, application program. So it is a core it is So what are the basic component of the Linux: kernel, shell, GUI, system utilities, application program? Kernel is the core component of the Linux. It is acts the interface between the software and hardware. Shell is the interface between the user and kernel. GUI is the graphical user interface, which is another way of for the user to interact with the system. But it is unlike the images, bottom text boxes, and for interaction. Mm, System utilities, they are the software function that allow the user to manage the computer. Application program is a set of function that designed to perform the set of tasks. How do you open the command prompt when using the command? Launch your terminal by pressing the Ctrl Alt T or giving the terminal in the menu. What is the space? So what is a swap shell? Swap shell is used when the physical RAM memory is running out. It is move the RAM inactive pages to swap space. It is considered in the form of dedicated swap partition or the swap file. What is a GUI? GUI means graphical user interface. It is a human computer interface that uses a Windows image, icon, and menus, which can be manipulated by using the mouse. Most of the modern applications in electronic gadgets communicate with the user through the UI. GUI is a combination of graphical and textual interaction that uses the bottom menus messages box. Explain the file permission types in Linux. Linux file permissions: each files and directory has the 3 permissions. Read it, refer to only they can read the file. Write it, refer that they can write the file or modify the file of the directory. Execute it affects the user capability to execute the file or view the file of the directory. What is the environment variable? They are dynamic values that affect the process of programs on the computer. They exist in every operating systems and type there may vary. They can create, edit, saved, and delete. Then they also give the information about the system behavior. What is a symbolic link? It will also redirect to another file using this path. Target file do not contain any data. Symbolic links redirect to any other entry somewhere in the file system. If the target file is deleted, the link to the file is removed but not the file. What are the hard links? Hard link is another name of the existing file on the system. We can create so many number of hard links for the any file. They can create the link for the other hard links. What is redirection? Redirection can be defined as changing the standard input output devices to redirect the meta characters are used. You can redirect to the program. What is a daemon? Daemon is a background process that accepts the request from the service from the other computer. Most of the operating system use the daemon in the other program. Describe the root account. The root is a username which is a default, has access to all the files and command. The root user can do many things, but an ordinary user cannot do anything like installing software, changing file permission. Explain the virtual desktop. Virtual desktop is a user interface when you are facing the problem to how to manage the multiple windows on your desktop. Virtual desktop serves an alternative. Virtual desktop store the remote servers and allow you to use the one or more program on the clean state. What are the different modes when you are using the VI editor? There are the three kind of modes in VI editor. There are command mode, regular mode, insert mode, editor mode, X mode, replace mode. What are the inode and process ID? The inode is a unique name given to each file, and process ID is a unique name given to each process. What is the process state in Linux? Five process states in the Linux. They are new, ready, running, block, wait, terminated, and zombie. So new. The new process is created and ready to run. The process is being executed. The process is waiting for the input for the user. The process complete the execution of terminated by the operating system. Zombie, the process is deleted but still the information regarding the process exists in the process zombie table. Explain the process management system call in Linux. The process management system call in Linux fork it used to create the new process, execute the new process, wait until the process execution exists from the process. System call to get the process ID, get PID, get PPID to find get PID, find the unique process ID to find the unique parent process ID. Explain the file permission group in the Linux. There are the three user-based permission group for each file and directory. Their owner only will have to access the file or directory. They will not impact the action of the other user. Group these permissions apply only to the group that has been assigned to the file or directory. They will not impact the action of other user. Mm, these permissions are applied to all the user on the system. What is the file system in Linux? Linux is a system stores and handle the data. Without the file system, and it cannot know where the files start from the and where the files end. We explain the different file system type. We explain the different file system type in Linux. In Linux, there are many file system, yeah, ext, ext2, ext3, ext4, jfs, xfs, btrfs, ufs, autofs, and devpts, ntfs, and swap. So Linux admin interface. What is LVM required? LVM standard for large volume management. It is stored the management device. User can create, resize, and delete LVM partition. It increases the abstraction, flexibility, and control. LVM used to gather the existing storage device into the group and allocate the logical unit. What is Unmask UMask? UMask stand for user file creation mode. When the user create any file, when it has a default file permission, so unmask will specify few restriction to the newly created file. Umask -s and mask. How to set the mask permanently for a user? If the unmask command invoked without any rules, arguments, it will display the current mask. To set the unmask permanently, we have two types. Octal representation, symbolic representation. What is a network bonding in Linux? Network bonding is a process of combining more than two network interface to from the single network interface. It offers a performance improvement and redundancy by increasing the network throughput and bandwidth. No need to worry if one interface is down unplugged because the other will work. The behavior of the bonded interface depends on the bonding method. What are the different modes of network bonding? The different modes of network bonding is mode 1, mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4, mode 5, mode 6. So mode 0 is a balancer. It is a default mode and based on the round robin policy. It offers a fault tolerance and load balancing feature. It is a used to round robin fashion to transmit the packets. Mode 1, it is based on the active backup policy, and only one slave will act in the bond and another will act in the when the other fail in the bond. It is also provide a fault tolerance. Mode 0, it sets the XOR board between the source of MAC address and destination MAC address to provide the fault tolerance. It is based on the broadcast policy and transmitted everything in the slave interfaces also provide the fault tolerance and can be used only for the particular group. It is a dynamic aggregation mode. It is a created aggregation group which is having the same speed. It is uses a transmit hashing method to select the slave for the outgoing traffic. Modify the outgoing traffic is according to the current load to the slave, and it is incoming traffic is receiving by the slave. Then it is called an adaptive transmission loading balancer mode. Okay, note 6. It is an adaptive load balancing mode. It does not require any switch or output. How to check the default routing route table? To display the default routing and route table, we use the following command: routefn, nested rn ip. How to check the which ports are listening in my Linux system? We have the two commands to check which ports are listening in the Linux system. Following are the commands: nested hyphen hyphen listen, nested hyphen I. What are the kernel modules are located? Lib modules kernel version. This is a directory store all the information about the compiler driver under the Linux system. Using the ls mode command also we can see the installed kernel model. How to change the default run level in Linux? How to check the default run level in a user init command? How to share the directory user NFS? To share the directory using the NFS, first edit the configuration file. To share the directory using the NFS, first edit the configuration file and etc export and add an entry like a directory name. Now restart the NFS service. What are the default ports used for the SNTP, DNS and FTP? Details mentioned below. Services ports: SMTP 25, DNS 53, FTP 20, DHCP 22, SQUID 3128. How to log the user account in Linux? Locking user account is done for the security purpose so that unauthorized user can log in it. So we have a few ways to lock the user's account. Some of that: lock or disable the password using the password command, expire the user account using the user mode command, ch command, changing the shell using the no login command, and Linux commands interview question. What is the ls command? What is the It is one of the basic command in Linux. It is used to list all the files and directories in the file system. So when you use it without passing the argument, then it will be listed all the files in the current working directory files will be displayed in the alphabetical order. So to list the specific directory files, use a directory name in the syntax follows as the okay. Who can also pass the multiple direction name in the syntax but separated by the swipe. What is a tail command? In tail command, print the last n number of lines of the given data, print the 10 lines of a default. Example. What is the grep command? In grep command is a filter that is used to global search for the Legre expressions. What is a PS command? PS command display the current process status of the system and it display the process ID with the some other related data also. What is the env command? In like env is a shell command used to print the list of current environment variable and it can be run other process in other environment without any modification of the current environment. Output the line end with a 0 by a byte rather than the new line unset. Remove the variable name from the environment and display the help message and exam. What is the top command in line? The top command is used to show the system process and display the update the shorter process information. What is a nested command in Linux? Nested command gives various information about the network and routing table interface, static and more about the system. What is the lsyf command? Lsyf list of the file. We can also know which file is opened by the which process. Explain about the chmod. This command is used for change the permission of the file and directories. It is an important command also. I will explain it briefly. There is a one of the whole. There is a three type of permission: read, write, execute, and there are represented by the number of as shown. Okay. For read permission, to write permission, one execute permission, chmod option, permission file system, file name. Explain about the ch1 command. ch1 command, the ch1 stand for the change file owner and group. This command is used to change the ownership of one or more file or folder for a specific user group. What is the cp command? Cp command is used to copy file and directories, also used to backup the files and directory. How to remove a file or directory from the system in Linux? rm command. The rm command is used to remove the directory or file specified in the command line. You need to be careful while removing any file. This thing. What is a make directory in Linux? Commands allow the user to create line directories in Linux. User can create a multiple directories at once and can set the permission to the directories. Directory name of the directory can be created. Mode to set the file mode for the creation directory. Create a parent directory. Purpose or print a message for the create. And if you are using the this options at the security content, each create the directory and content show the help message and exist. I show the version information. Explain the rm command in Linux. The rm directory is used to remove the each directory specified in the command. How to exit we can use a two command to exit from the VI directory. Well, VI command saves the current work and exits from the VI editor. The q hyphen explain the command does not save the work but exists in from the VI. How to delete the information from the file in VI? The following command used to delete the information from the file in VI editor. Command X delete the current character. Command DD delete the current line. Enlist some of the Linux of file content command. Head display the top line of the file, tail display the last line of the file. Cat can concat the more than two file and display the content more display the content in the paper from the view in the terminal. Linux technical interview question and for experience. Enlist some of the Linux distributions along with their uses. We have so many Linux distribution among them. We discuss a few important ones. Linux Mint. So it is a stable and robust Linux Mint user made desktop and synonym. Debian stands for the robustness, stability and well-oriented release cycle. It is a user-friendly Debian version. It will be replaced by version 9. Ubuntu is available for both desktop and the Service Edition and based on the Debian. OpenSUSE it is a good choice for the new users and existing user. Manjaro it gives a pleasant experience and new and experienced user. Why we use Linux? We are many reasons in the few important reasons are listed out. Following are high scalability, high stability, security, easy to operate, hardware compatibility, open source. High stability, it is a very stable and does not lead to crashes. It runs fastly. It is when installed for it. Security is a dependent on the server that offers a high security to the user using the Linux on your system. It is a easy to avoid versus and malware to attack cannot be change any changes in the Linux system in the user logged in the root user. Easy to operate. Unix is easy to operate and we can install it easily onto the system because all the variant of user have their own software repository. You can update the system periodically with just a few clicks on your can set automatic updation. Hardware compatibility. Linux can be used any hardware. It does not have any hardware restrictions. It is efficiently in all system resources. The source code is available as it is under free and open source softwares. What are the following are the feature of the Linux operating system. Portable software can work on different type of hardware in the same way. It can carry easily in open drive and memory card. Open source source code available for free and it is community based development project. Multi-user, multiple user can use RAM application run program at same time. Multi-programming, multiple programs application can run on the same time. Shell it is a special interpreter program where you can execute program and command of the systems and security provide the authentications, authorization and encryption to provide the security to the data. A difference between the bash and terms difference between the bash and use commands are case sensitive and commands are not case sensitive. Backward slash represent the directory separators, backward slash represent the command argument, forward slash represent the escape character, represent the directories and separator. Does not follow the convenience naming the file, follow the naming conventions in file. What is the meant by internal command, external command? Internal command directory run by the shell are known as a internal command, and there is a no separate process run on the same command. External command commands which can run by the kernel are known as external command, and every single command has its own unique process ID. Linux networking internet. So, what is the meant by pipe in Linux? It is a form of redirection that is used in Linux. It is used to combine more than two commands, and the output of one command can take as input to the next command. Describe how a parents and child process communicate with each other. This parent and process um, communicate with the child process by using the pipe socket images and queue. What is the stateless in Linux server? It is a centralized server that does not have any exist state on the working station. It may have the scenarios when a state of particular system take the snapshot of then the user want all other machine to do in the particular state. Explain the feature of stateless Linux features of stateless Linux server store the prototype of every system, store the snapshot was taken, store the home directories, use the LDAP which contain the information about which snapshot should run on which system. What is zombie process? It is a zombie process whose execution is completed but even the information exists in the process table. It occurs for the child process because the parent process need to be read and child process status. When it's completed using the wait system called the zombie process is removed from the process table. This is known as the zombie process. Explain the work of the control AT delete key combination of the Linux operating system. Linux and control key is used to restart the computer and is not display any confirmation message before rebooting the system. Why Linux is considered more secure than other operating system? Linux is a more open source operating system. Nowadays, it is a rapidly growing in the technology market. We have the few reasons why Linux is a more secure than the other. Oh yeah, the perk of accounts, a strong community, IP tables, different working environment, recording in Linux. Few users. The perk of account Linux allow only few users to access the system. Thus, the various cannot attack the whole system. It may cause only few files in the system. Strongly communicated Linux user first accomplish the file before they open, so they can save their system from the vulnerabilities. IP table. IP tables are used by the Linux because it check the security circle of the system. Okay. uh, Different working environment. Linux systems has a Linux system has a different working environment. Linux Mint and Debian Arch and many more. This working environment protects from the virus. Recording and system, it maintain the log history because later it can view the details of the system files easily. Few user Linux users are less compared to the other due to his security will be more. What is a tail command? In Linux, tail command display the last part of the file. Generally user don't need to every login to troubleshoot. Instead you want to check whether what your login say about the most recent request to your system. What is the cat command in Linux? Cat command concatenates and print file. User might issue cat to check the content of your dependencies file to confirm the version of the application that you already but built login. What is the grep command? Grep searches the pattern if you are looking for so grep command says file pattern if you are looking for a specific pattern in the output for the of another command. Grep highlights the relevant lines. Use this grep command for searching long file, specific process and more. What is a PS command in Linux? PS command display the process status. Use this PS command to determine running application, confirm an expected process. Get. What is the env command? Env allows the user to set the print environment variables. During the troubleshooting, user can define the useful for checking if the wrong environment variable present for your application starting. What is a top command? Top command displays and updates the sorted process information. Use this top command to determine which process are running and how much memory and CPU they are consuming. What is the nested command? Nested command is Linux to show the network issues. The nested command show the network ports in users and their incoming connections. What is the LSYF command? LSYF command lists the open file associated with your file. What is the DF command in Linux? The user can use the DF command to troubleshoot the disk space users. Here the DF stands for display the free disk space. Df command example df-s. What is the du command? In your du command in Linux is used to retrieve more detailed information about which file uses the disk space and the directory. So what is the IP table command in Linux? IP table command block or allow the traffic on the Linux host similar to the network firewall, and IP table command made the prevent certain application from receiving transmitting the request. What is the difference between Linux and Windows? Linux is available free, Windows is a pay. It is a paid version. Linux is open source. It is not open source. Linux customization is possible. No customization are available. Provide the high level security. Cannot define the viruses and malware attacks unless it's paid. What does the cd command do? Cd command go the previous directory. What does cd command do? Cd go to home directory. What does the command go to the directory? Execute the command to return the current directory. What does the push command? Push command put current directory on the stacker so you can pop the back to it. What is the ls command? Lsr command show the file by size. Biggest file will be displayed last. What is the du start on head command? This is the command show the top disk user in the current. What does the du-sh home sort command? This command shows the path of easily interpret the disk space. What is the df hyphen h command? This command show the free space on the mounted file system. What is the df hyphen I command? Df hyphen I command show the free inode and mounted file system. What is the fdisk command used for? Fdisk command show the disk partition sizes and types. How do you kill the program using the one port in Linux? Use this command to kill the program using the one port sudo fuser k8. How do you limit the user for command you limit hyphen sg. How do you get the full path of the file path? Use this command read link. How do you list the content of target? Execute only one file. How do you find who is logged in using how do you check the permissions of each directories? It is useful to take the permission of, for example, when the configuration of the. How do you run the command every time a file is modded? Who I am do? How to copy the text to the use this command cat file and slip section copy. How to check the resource user? Use this command to check the resource users slash user bin time hyphen yes. How do you run the command for a limited time? Use this command timeout. How do you combine the two lines of two files? Use this common file name file too. So what is Linux? Discuss its future. Linux is a Unix based operating system. Linus Torvalds first introduced it. It is an open source operating system that was designed to provide a free and low cost operating system for the computer use. Linux is an open source Unix like a computer OS that directly manages the resources, hardware of the system like storage, memory, CPU, and handle the communication between the hardware and software. First, it was published on 5th October 1991 by Linus Torvalds for any system, and it is considered fastest and more secure than Windows. It is a freely distributed and is basically established around the Linux kernel. Additionally, it is can be installed in notebooks, computer, laptop, mobile. Linux operating system flavors include the SUSE, Linux, Debian, Ubuntu, etc. Okay, and here So here, couple of some important aspects of Linux operating systems include adaptable and robust, open source and free, more secure, multi-programming system, application support, graphical user interface, customized keyword. So adaptable and robust. Linux can work on for prolonged times without crashing, and it's very much resistant to the security threats. Open source and free. It is easily and freely available to everyone. More secure. Linux is more secure because it offers the security with authentication features such as Linux file system, control access, security auditing, and password authentication. Multi-programming system. Multiple functions on the application can be simultaneously run. So multiple functions and application can simultaneously run. Application support. Linux include the software repository, which is storage location or place from everywhere software can be read, means so that user can get application. Graphical user interface. Linux offers an interface for the user to collaborate with the system and permits the use of the graphical user application like Firefox. Customized keyboard. There are several different languages used across the world, hence Linux support the multiple language keyboard installation. What is the difference between the Unix and Linux? Unix was originally started as an proprietary operation for Bell Laboratories, which later released their commercial version when Linux is an open source and non-priority operating system for the mass users. What is the Linux kernel? Discuss in the function. Linux kernel is a low-level system software. It is used to manage the hardware resources for the user. It provides an interface for the user level interaction. Linux kernel is primarily a component of the Linux operating system. Simply, it is a resource manager that works as a bridge between the software and hardware. Its primary role is to handle the hardware resources and generally use it to offer an interface of interaction. Linux kernel is the initial program that is loaded when our system starts, and also it is called the low level system software. These primary functions are storage management, device management, process management, memory management, access management, use of the several peripheral like to the computer. It is legal to edit the Linux kernel. Yes, you can edit the Linux kernel because it is released under the general public license, and anymore can edit, and it can under the category of free open source system. What is the Lilo? Lilo is the bootloader for the Linux. It is used to load the Linux operating system into the main memory to begin its operation. It is a bootloader that is used for loading the Linux into main memory and trying the OS also. It is called the boot manager that offers a dual boot of the system. It can work as either secondary boot program or master boot program that implements several functions such as starting the kernel, loading the memory, recognize other supporting program and locating the kernel. We need to install the unique bootloader Lilo. If you wish to use the Linux operating system, it is a permits the Linux OS. What is the advantage of the open source? Open source facilitates you to distribute your software, including the source code, freely to anyone who is interested. So you can add the feature and even debug and correct the error of the source code. What are the basic components of the Linux? Just like other operating system, Linux has all the components like kernel, shell, GUI, system utilities, and application program. Generally, Linux is a composite of five component of element which is listed and explained as follows. So kernel, system library, system utilities, hardware shell. Kernel is the main and core Linux part of it, generally liable for every major activity of the operating system, such as device management, process management. System libraries are unique program or functions with which system utilities and application program can access the kernel feature without core requirement. It is used for implementing the functionality of the operating system. System utilities are utility programs that are liable to perform the individual level specialized tasks. These are all the considered more responsible and permits user to handle the system. Hardware is the physical hardware that contain the item like CPU, display, keyboard, mouse, etc. Shell, it is the environment where we can execute our command program, the shell script. It is an interface between the kernel and the user that hidden every complexity of the kernel function from the user. What is the disadvantage? What is the advantage of the Linux? Every aspect comes with the additional feature and it provides the free downloading facility for all the code. What do you mean by Linux shell? Explain its type. Linux shell is called the user interface available for the between the kernel and user. It is used to execute the communication and commands with the Linux operating system. Linux shell take the human readable command, its input and transfer them into the language that is kernel understandable. Different shell types are used in classic Linux system as mentioned with the Bourne shell, G shell, TS, Bourne shell. Okay. Name of the Linux which is specially designed for the Sun Microsystem. Solaris is the name of the Solaris is the Linux of the Sun Microsystem. Name of the Linux loader, Lilo is the Linux loader. If you have saved a file in the Linux, after you save, you wish to rename that what command designed for it, the move command is used to rename the file. Right above the internal command, the command which are built in the shell are called the internal command. Explain the process ID. Unknown process ID is the unique ID provided to all the processor. It is used to identifying the running process uniquely throughout the computer until the process ends. Inode is the unique name provided to all the files by operating system. All the inodes have the unique inode number in the file system. Inodes show the main detail about the file, including the number of links, access mode, file type, and size of the owner size, etc. If the programmer wish to execute the instructions at the specified time, which command is used, the add command is used to the same. Name of the some of the Linux commands are CentOS, Ubuntu, Red Hat, and Debian Fedora. What is the swap space? Swap space is used to display specify the swap which is used by the Linux to hold the sum of the concurrent running program temporarily. It is used when the RAM does not have the enough space to hold all programs that are executing. As it is name implies, swap space is a swap that a hard is used when the RAM or physical memory account is full. It is a replacement of the physical memory. It is a primary function is to replace the disk space for the memory when the actual RAM does not have the sufficient space to hold every program that is running and more space is needed. In other words, it can be used as a RAM extension by Linux. What is a bash? Bash is a sort of the Bourne again shell. It was replacement of the original Bourne shell written by the Steve Brown. It is generally command language interpreted. Bash was written in the GNU OS and one can be replaced a Bourne shell. It is the same as a Bourne shell, but it contains some extra features like command line amendment that make them more convenient, easier to use. It is the default user shell almost every Linux installation. Basically, it is non-compiled and interpreter across the cross execution and terminal window. Also, it is a read command in shell script. What is the basic difference between the bash and DOS? Bash commands are case sensitive, while the DOS commands is not case sensitive. DOS follow the convention in naming file. In DOS, 8-character file name is followed by the dot and 3 characters extension. Bash does not follow the such convention. What is a root account? Root account is like a system administrator account. It provides you full control of the system. You can create and maintain the user account, assign the different permission for each account. Where is GUI and CLI? GUI stands for graphical user interface. It is a human computer interface that permit the user to collaborate with the electronic devices through the visual indicator and graphical icons. The use of these graphical icons are relevant to make it convenient for the user to collaborate with the system. It's usually introduced the permit the higher productivity. It uses the image and icon which are clicked by the user to communicate with the system. It is more attractive and user friendly because of the use of the images and icon. CLI stands for the command command line interface. It is a command line program that takes the text as the input, run the task of the OS. It permits the user to enter the declarative command to give the instructor to the system to perform the operation. It needs the less memory than the other interface and is not lead to Windows because low resolution monitor can also be used. It is an interface that allows the user to type declarative command to instruct the computer to perform the operation. Which popular Office suite is available free for both Microsoft and Linux? Open Office suite is available free and for both Microsoft and Linux. You can install it both of them. Suppose your company is recently switched from the Microsoft to Linux and you have to some MS Word document to save and work in Linux. That what will do, install open office suite in and Linux. It facilitates you to work with the Microsoft document. What is the SMTP? SMTP is smart standard for simple mail transfer protocol. It is the internet standard for mail transmission. What is the Samba? Why it is Samba service is used to connect with Linux machine to Microsoft network resource by providing the Microsoft SMB support. What are the basic commands for the user management? Last change SH, SS, LS, OF, CH home, CH mode, user add, user D, new user. What is the maximum length of file name in Linux? 255 character. Is the Linux operating system virtual free? No, there is no operating system till date is virtual free, but Linux is known as a have less number of viruses. Which partition store the system configuration files in Linux system? Source of partition. STC partition. Which command is used to uncompress a GF file? Gunzip command is used to uncompress GF file. Why do developer use the MD5 option on password? MD5 is an encryption method, so it is used to encrypt the password before saving. What is a virtual desktop? Virtual desktop is used as an alternative to minimizing maximum different windows on the current desktop. So virtual desktop facilitating you to open one or more programs on clean state rather than minimizing the restoring all the needed program. Which command used to uncompress zip files? Gunzip command is used to uncompress zip file. Why do developers use MD5 option and password? MD5 is an encryption method, so it is used to encrypt the password before saving. What is a virtual dock? Okay, virtual desktop is used to an alternative to minimizing, maximizing the different windows on the current desktop. Virtual desktop facilitate you to open and more program on the clean state rather than minimizing the restoring all the needed program. What is the difference between the soft and hard mounting point? In the soft mount, if the client fails to connect the server, it give the error report and close the connection, whereas in the hard mount, if the client fails to access the server, the connection hangs, and once the system is up, it again accesses the server. Does Alt Control Del key combination of work in Linux? Yes, it is work like a Windows. What are the file permission in Linux? There are three types of permission in Linux: read, write, execute. Read, user can read the file and list directory. Write, user write the new files in the list. User can access and run the file in the directory. What are the modes used in VI Director? Visual Editor or VI Editor is a default text editor that comes with almost every Linux operating system. There are three different type of modes utilizing in the VI Editor as mentioned below. Regular mode, command mode. For the VI Editor is a default mode. It is used for typing command that perform the specific or particular VI function. To input this mode from the other mode, one must click its let us see the content edit mode and insertion mode. It permits us to type the text in the file, perform the text editing. To input this mode from the other mode, one must click its letters, the insert or deletion content of the text. Replacement mode or execute. It is used to store the file and implementation of the command. It runs a file with the distinct parameter. To input this mode, one must it letters the overwriting text content. How to execute from the VI editor? The following command use execute the VI. Save the current work and existing queue, exit the VI working, saving the current work. How to delete the information from the VI? So the following command is used to delete the information from the VI editor: X delete the current character, DD delete the current line. How to create the new file and modify the existing vi file name, what are the linux user modes, two linux user modes are available which are follows ui command, what are the process states, um what are the process states. Linux process is a kind of process that can be several distinct states. The process come in three states from the start to end. In Linux, the process states as mentioned below: new, ready, running, blocked, and wait, and completed. What is the typical swap partition size in the Linux system? It should be double in the amount of RAM or physical memory available in the system. What is the name of the files that use it to mount a file system automatically? FSTP file is a file that use it to mount a file system automatically. What do you mean by LVM? Why it's important? Logical value management or LVM is a tool that offers a management of the logical value for the Linux kernel. It's simply being introduced and enabled physical storage device management convenient also. It's a future allocating disk, resizing memory, and stripping the local logical value. It is a primary benefit the enhanced abstraction control and flexibility. It permits extensible disk space management, and it is needed to online resize the file system. The LVM partition size can be increased with the LV extend command, and decrease the LV reduce command is used. Define the slash proc file system. Proc file system is a virtual and pseudocode file system that offers interactive to the data structure of kernel. Generally, it contains the useful details about the process that are currently running. Also, it can be used to modify the few kernel parameter during the execution or runtime. What are the daemon? Daemon are also called the background process. There are also large, long-running programs of Linux that execute in the background. They don't have any controlling terminal, hence they execute in background daemons. Or process starts when the computer is bootstrapped and ends up the terminating only when the computer is shut down. It's simply the form of increasing and base of OS functionality. It provides the many functions that are not available in a OS. Daemons are called the background process, and they are long-running program of Linux that execute in the background. They don't have any configuration controlling terminal, hence they execute in background. Daemon or the process start when the computer is bootstrapped, end or terminated only when the computer is shut down. It's simply the form of increasing the base OS functionality. Provide the many functions that are all available in OS. What is the name of the daemon that can control in the print spooling process? The line printing daemon can control in the print spooling process. What do you mean by zombie process? The zombie process is also known as the data default process. It is a process that has the completed the execution, but its access the remain inside the process table as well. It happens because there is insufficient correspondence between the child and parent process. The process appear for the child process due to the parent process require the reading the child process status. The process is deleted from the process table once it is finished with the wait system call. What is the difference between the anachron and cron job? Anachron is the Linux. Anachron is the program used to run the task at some interval. It works on machine effective that are powered off in a week or a day. Cron in Linux, cron is a program that used to run the task as an expected time in works and mission effectively that continuously run. It's not a daemon, it's a daemon only. It can be utilized by the super user. It can be expected by the normal user. It's a deal for the laptop and desktop. It is deal for the server, and it does not support the system or execute 24 by 7. It support the system and um, to support the 24 by 7. The minimum granularity of the anachron is day only. The minimum granularity of the cron is a minute. It is a periodically execute the command. It executes the scheduled command. What do you mean by load average under the Linux? As its name implies, load average is the system average loaded on the Linux server being measured over the given time. The Linux server is a load average can be detected using the uptime on top command. Also, it is used to record the system resources. What is a shell script? As the name implies, shell script is the script mainly written for the shell. The script describes the programming language being used to manage the application, and it permits the execution of the distinct command entered inside the shell. Generally, it is helped to make the complex program, including the function loops and conditional statement. What is the name of the first process initiated by the kernel, and what is the process ID of it? Linux. It is the first process initiated by the kernel and the first process ID of it. Linux networking. What is the slash etc slash host and the slash etc resolve.config file in the Linux? Slash etc host is the file translated or map any domain name or host name to the corresponding IP address. Slash etc resolve configures the file configure DNS name servers because it includes the information of the name servers, information of our DNS server, then the DNS server resolve the IP addresses host name. What is a network bonding in Linux? Network bonding is also called the NIC teaming. It is a kind of bonding that contains a two or more network interface to the single interface. As well, it improves the redundancy and performance generally by increasing the network bandwidth and throughput. What are the types of network bonding? What are the types of networking load balancer? Mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. Okay. What are the default ports of okay, this one is already done. What is the difference? What is the three stand streams under the Linux? STD, STD in, STD word, STDIR. Explain the netstat command. Networking statistics. The netstat command is a networking tool for configuration troubleshooting. It shows every network connection from the system. It offers a way of inspector whether several TCP/IP aspects are running at what connections are available. Define the ping command. Packet internet grouper user ping command check the connection status between the destination and source. In other words, it is a command to check whether the network is present or if the host is attainable. We can use a ping command to check both IP addresses, name of the system, name of the command used to see the default run level, etc init tab. Command used to see the default run level, name of the command used to see the size of the directory of the file. The du command is used to see the size of the directory of the file. The disk uses a disk command. Check the disk uses information of directory and files on a system. Also, it is used to show the directory and files in the recursive manner. Name the command used to calculate the characters in a file. Uh, the wc command is used to calculate the character of the file. That word count of vc command used to counting the number of character words on the line of in any text file.